What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Don Shrez back with another video. Today we have the best starting five from every draft class by Austin Sweat. Austin Sweat come up with some of the most creative video ideas. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to this video. Go subscribe to Austin Sweat as well. Very creative guy. This video was uploaded in 2019, but I do want to say the 2018 Trae Young and Luka 2018, right? Sorry. But that 2018 draft class is coming in to be one of the best draft classes of all time. Ayton's balling, Trae Young's balling, Luka's balling. Like, all these people are balling out of their minds. I don't know if that draft class is going to be included in today's video. But anyway, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Roll to 200 subscribers.
The best starting five from every draft class. The idea is simple. We're going through each draft and seeing the best lineup we can come up with based on how good players are currently playing. We must have a player from every position, and it must be the true position that they play. We're also
not
that
necessarily.
everyone's healthy and starting with 2005.
Oh, we're starting with 05, but I wouldn't necessarily say that, especially with NBA going more of a positionless basketball route.
Paul, Lou Williams, CJ Miles, Marvin Williams, and Andrew Bogut. Okay, and as you can see here, there's not many quality players still left from the 2005 NBA draft.
They were most
of
them were
there
role
really
players.
even wasn't at the time. Besides the players I mentioned, Darren Williams, Danny Granger, and Andrew Bynum were the only other ones from this draft class to be all-stars, and as we all know, their careers eventually fell off. Then besides them, Nate Robinson and Monte Ellis were really the only other people who had above-average careers. And for this being their five that's still left in the league, the backcourt's definitely still solid, but as a whole, it probably makes them the worst lineup on this list. Then you fast forward 1 year later to 2006, and there's a big
I'm assuming this is everybody in their prime.
Kyle
That 05
Lowry,
draft
JJ Redick, Rudy Gay, Paul Millsap, and LaMarcus Aldridge.
That's
Two guys
decent.
that were all-stars last season, and 3 starters on playoff teams. And unlike the 2005 squad, this 5 could still do some damage in the league today. They'd have a hard time making the playoffs in the Western Conference, but definitely could in the East. With Lowry and Rudy being great all around, JJ still being able to shoot the lights out, and Millsap and Aldridge both being able to hold down the paint or spread the floor.
Yeah, I'm about to say they
There's
could stretch
solid
this
players at every
team
position, but
can pretty. I think this team could not shake up something, but they make the playoffs in maybe a second round exit in the East.
This is still one of the worst lineups for the video. But then we get to 2007. And
Is this 07? That's the KD draft.
May very well be a playoff team in either conference, with Mike Conley, Marco Bellinelli, Kevin Durant, Al Horford, and Marc Gasol. Their only weakness would be at shooting guard, but besides that, they have everything they need.
That's a solid team, especially if it's all
their
prime.
Star player, their near star in Mike Conley, and a great supporting cast in the front court. I mean, we already
Bellinelli their
saw
only
Gasol
weakness,
do
but
together when
even
we saw them
he
in
can
Memphis.
space the
They were
floor
one
and
of
shoot.
the top real threats in the Western Conference for years, and mainly for their defense. But then adding another defensive threat in Horford would shut down most front courts in the league. And you already know the offensive side of things would be taken care of with KD. And we continue to get better with these lineups.
That's the Westbrook draft.
As we move to 2008.
Or D Rose.
Because the lineup of Russell Westbrook, Eric Gordon, Danilo Gallinari, Kevin Love, and Brook Lopez is just as good. We'll be getting to see Russ and Eric Gordon as teammates this year, and we saw Russ and Love play together in college. But then we'd be combining the 3 of them with the sharpshooting Brook Lopez and a 20-point per game scorer in Gallinari.
That's a solid team.
And none of these were the top 3 picks in the draft that year, with those being Derrick Rose, Michael Beasley, and OJ Mayo. All players whose careers didn't turn out as expected for one reason or another.
D Rose
is
good.
solid, you definitely have to consider them a
I just
playoff
hate
team.
this notion
Probably
that's
not
going around now that people often say that D Rose MVP season gets overrated.
too much more than that. I mean,
I think
wouldn't
people
say they
just
have
look
too
at the stats and be like, oh yeah, like it is mostly younger people saying, oh, overrated. Look at the stats. Not considering the game was at a different pace.
championship potential or anything, but the 2009 draft class
Steph
definitely does.
09, that's probably Steph at the 1.
With their starters being Steph Curry, James Harden,
Harden.
DeMarre Carroll, Blake
Griffin,
and Taj Gibson.
Oh,
and this may very well be the best lineup in the video.
The center
only being
position they
challenged by
low-key
a couple
fell.
of other ones. and certainly one of the best draft classes overall.
Yeah, that draft class
Two
was solid.
all-star caliber players in DeMar DeRozan and Drew Holiday, as well as Patrick Beverly.
Oh, Patrick
But as
Beverly
for
was
these
drafted
five,
that
You
year.
got the best point guard in the league, the best shooting guard, who are both former MVPs,
Peak
and a
Blake.
top 3 power forward. It does hurt them that DeMar Carroll was really the only true small forward still playing, and there were no current centers. So I could have just left them as a starting 4, but instead just threw in Taj Gibson. I mean, there wasn't many centers at all in this draft class in general,
The beat.
aside from Jordan Hill, who's retired.
The
and
beat, man. People don't never. I don't never hear people talk about Hasheem Thabeet being a bust, but he clearly was. He had so much
Hasheem
hype
Thabeet
coming out of
went
UConn.
second overall, but was a bust. But I mean, with all this star power, they really don't need great players at every position. Just players who aren't terrible at their jobs.
Yeah, they
With
just need a
Steph,
good
Blake,
supporting
and James,
cast,
the
especially
offensive
with
side of the
Steph,
team's gonna be taken care
Harden,
of.
and
With
Blake.
that said, they clearly do lack in defense, though. But this lineup still does have the edge over most, just simply because these guys are all in the middle of their primes right now, which does give a team like this
Except for Blake.
championship potential, but they're still not the perfect starting 5. And then things really drop off when we get to the class of 2010,
Just Kyrie
which
of it.
consists of John Wall, Avery Bradley, Paul George, Derek Favors, and Hassan Whiteside.
That ain't too bad. This is a solid team overall. I'm thinking these players at their prime. I don't care what you say. This would have been best if they was at their prime, because John Wall and PG.
I mean, people are worried to
Favors
see
is
how well
decent
John Wall
in
will
his
return
prime.
from his injuries. And
Whiteside
Eric
in
Bledsoe
his
was also
contract
in this draft
year.
class, but I'm
Yeah.
hoping the former first overall pick doesn't drop off that much to where Bledsoe would deserve his spot, which was why I kept him as
And
this
they were
class's
teammates
starting point guard.
in college.
And even if Wall still isn't the best, the rest of this offense would be taken care of with the help of Paul George, on top of him and Avery Bradley taking care of the other end as well. Then Whiteside and Favors are really more of wild cards, because we've seen both of them have big years in the past, but recently haven't been as good. As
Yeah,
long as
Whiteside
at least
had
of
that
them could have
one
a
year,
big game
man.
each night, though, I think they'd be good. And overall, this isn't a terrible 5, but compared to some of the others on this list, it's not great because they're mainly lacking on outside shooting and consistency. It is worth mentioning, though, that along with Bledsoe, Gordon Hayward and DeMarcus Cousins were the other
Yeah,
players from
Cousins.
this draft left off the starting
Forgot
five.
about Hayward.
And now
being
these
there.
next 2 draft classes both have the chance of being the best of the entire video, starting with the 2011 5 of Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, Tobias Harris, and Nikola Vucevic.
Yeah, that
I
team
mean,
right
we're
there.
talking 4 All-Stars and 1 All-Star snub in the same lineup. 5 players that
That
all averaged
lineup
at
right
least
there
20
is-
points per game.
I
combined
got
with
that will
perfect
probably
blend
be the
of
champion
offense
of this
and
video for
defense.
sure.
The 3rd best point guard in the league, the 2nd best shooting guard, the best small forward, a top 5 power forward, and
This
a
was
top 10
2019,
center.
so
I mean,
LeBron?
it's without a doubt a championship level team, and is more like a potential lineup in the
KD?
All-Star game.
Oh yeah, I
Klay
forgot.
Thompson's
Everybody
used
was
to playing off the
discrediting
ball
KD back then. My fault.
already. Kyrie's proving he can play with small forwards. Kawhi will be Kawhi. Tobias will be ready to hit open threes or fill in wherever he's needed. And Nikola will take care of whatever's left over. And altogether, 2011 was a strong class, with Bojan Bogdanovic, Jimmy Butler, Isaiah Thomas, Kemba Walker, and Nikola Mirotic, all also coming from this draft. And I gotta say, I think this is the best 5 of any current draft class, but 2012 still really competes with
Who's
this because
2012?
of how complete it is from top to bottom, with Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal, Chris Middleton, Anthony Davis, and Andre Drummond.
Oh,
And
snap.
again, we're
Yeah,
far
that's-
past the level of this being a championship team, and it once again consists of 4 All-Stars and a near All-Star level player. I mean, Dame
Not
and AD
anymore.
would run the show, and playing with each other would make both guys rank even higher on the MVP ladder than they already always do. Then Beal and Middleton would be excellent 3rd and 4th options, with Andre Drummond being the perfect fit at center. Plus, you gotta combine
I don't know, Beal-
11 points per game.
Beal might
for
be
me
second
five
option
alone.
and AD
And it's
might
crazy.
be 3rd.
This is
I
one of
don't
the
know.
best current lineups from a single draft class, and all of these guys aren't even fully in their primes yet. They still got a lot of room to get better.
Yeah,
Then
Bradley
the other
Beal
star
has
from
emerged
2012
a
that
lot
didn't
since
make
then.
this starting 5 was Draymond Green. I will say though that I think that 2009, 11, and 12 draft classes have the top 3 starting 5s.
Honestly,
rank them with
I
your
know AD hate playing the 5, but I'd take Drummond out and
thoughts
put
down
Draymond
below.
in there.
And while you do that, here's
And
the
have
5
AD
from
run the
2013. And I gotta say, this would be another one of the top lineups, with Dennis Schroeder,
I forgot 2013 draft class has some solid role players.
Victor Oladipo, Otto Porter, Giannis, and Rudy Gobert.
Giannis
They may
and Rudy.
lack at point guard and small forward, but those are still good position
Oladipo
players. To go
in
along
his
with
prime.
an All-Star, a reigning MVP, and a Defensive Player of the Year. And I mentioned it in my last video that this draft class originally looked really weak. I mean,
It
the
did.
top 5 picks were Anthony Bennett, Victor Oladipo, Otto Porter, Cody Zeller, and Alex Len. And the expectations for Oladipo
What year
weren't
was
even that
Jokic
high back
drafted?
then. But since 2013,
I just
a few
know
guys
he
have
was
come out
bad
and
drafted on
surprised
the Taco
everyone
Bell
to make this
commercial,
class
'cause
surprisingly
I didn't know
good.
that before.
Because there's the 5 we mentioned, along with
won.
CJ McCollum, Steven Adams, and Tim Hardaway, who didn't make a team of the starters. This 5, though, would definitely be one of the best defensively and could easily hold their own on offense, too. 2014 goes to Spencer Dinwiddie, Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins, Julius Randle, and Nikola Jokic.
Oh.
This lineup's still solid, but not as good as some of the others we've seen.
Now
And
it
was
is.
tough because there were a lot of solid players that all played similar positions coming into the league this year, with other centers like Yusuf Nurkic, Clint Capella, and oh yeah, Joel Embiid at center. I had to give the slight edge to Jokic though, because in my opinion they're extremely close in terms of who's better, and in the long term it could go either way. But in the playoffs this past season, Joel averaged 20, 10, and 3 on 30% from 3. And Jokic in his first ever playoff appearance,
But then,
averaged
like with
25,
Embiid,
13,
his
and
health
8
is
on
always a
40%
question.
from
So
three.
yeah, I
So I
understand.
had to give him the slight edge here. And as far as everyone else in this video, we had guys like Jabari Parker, Aaron Gordon, and Gary Harris, who were all great, but not the best in their position, which is how this was the lineup we ended up with. Then 2015 is surprisingly a great full lineup with how young they all are, having D'Angelo Russell, Devin Booker, Justice Winslow, Kristaps Porzingis, and Karl Anthony Towns.
They okay.
3 guys who have all been all-stars, and 1 guy that'll be one in no time. And these 4 all have the potential to be the best player at their position maybe 5 years down the line. Justice is the weak point of the lineup, but even he isn't too bad. And I mean, it's insane that all of these guys are under 23 and already as good as they are. Plus, a lineup with all of these guys would immediately be a real threat in the postseason. There's floor generals in the backcourt and dominance in the frontcourt. It's already one of the best starting 5s we've seen in this video, but in a few years it could definitely be approaching that top spot. Then next is 2016 that has Ben Simmons, Buddy Hield, Brandon Ingram, Pascal Siakam, and Zubac. And this lineup isn't fantastic because we've gotten to the point now where players are so young that they all haven't had a chance to prove themselves and fully develop. And there's still guys like Jaylen Brown, Jamal Murray, Domantas Sabonis, Karis LeVert, DeJounte Murray, and Malcolm
And
Brogdon.
I
who
honestly
could maybe
start
take one
most
of
of
these
these
spots in a
dumb
few
players
years.
that he
For
named
now,
off
though,
the
all
bench
of these guys are in
over
a
now.
position to where they can take
Jamal
huge
Murray
jumps
will be
this
starting
year, so this
point.
lineup may be looking a lot better towards the end of the season. And this would easily be an Eastern Conference playoff team.
I can't remember
but would
who
cut
else he
things-
said. Jamal
These
Murray
guys
will
are
be
in a
my
position
point.
to where they can take one of these to Sabonis, Karis LeVert.
Who's at the 4 here?
Lineup may be looking a lot. These guys. and Malcolm
Sabonis will be my 4.
position, They all have
Jaylen Brown will be my 3. Yeah.
This would easily be an Eastern Conference playoff team, but would cut things pretty close to being a top 8 team in the Western Conference. 2017, De'Aaron Fox, Donovan Mitchell, Kyle Kuzma, John Collins, and Bam Adebayo. Again, these guys are in the same position. They haven't had too long in the league. They still got a solid lineup though, and I'd say 4 out of the 5 of them have
I wonder if he's
star
still starting
potential.
Kuzma.
Originally, I had Jason Tatum at small forward because I was forgetting about Kuzma. And I didn't like how the lineup looked with Tatum, but Kuz makes them seem a lot better. It is going to be exciting to see which of these guys
No way,
turns
he
out to be
just
the
said
best
that. Cool.
player.
It
though.
was,
right
bro.
now, I'd say
Everybody
things
was
are
so
leaning
high on
towards
Kuz
Donovan
back
Mitchell,
then. For
but
what?
it could still go any different way. And overall, this is still going to be a great
Kuz
class.
over
With
Tatum?
other players like Tatum, Dennis Smith, Lonzo Ball, OG Anunoby, Derek White, and Josh Hart. And the 2018 draft class is going to be great too, with their starting 5 being Trae Young, Landry Shamet, Luka Doncic, Marvin Bagley, and DeAndre Ayton. It's finally
Bagley,
looking
Ayton,
like this is a
Jaren
draft where
Jackson
all
might
of the
be my
top 5
4.
players are actually going to be great. Things could change and players could drop off, but right now it's not looking like any of them will. And that's pretty uncommon for a draft, as you've seen through this video. There's always at least a few busts within the top few picks, but scouts did good this year.
I don't know if
and players did
Bagley's a
even
bust
better
or he's
living up to the
injury
hype.
prone.
Trae
Might
and
be
Luka
some of both,
obviously
I
have
don't
the
know.
biggest star potential, but that's not to say that Bagley and Ayton won't turn into superstars too one day. And then I think Shamet's going to turn out to be a great role player for a long time. And as for how this 5 would do if they were in the league, I can't confidently say they'd be a playoff team because, I mean, they were just rookies. But I love this 5 now and will even more in a couple of years. And then we're not going to include the 2019 draft class because they haven't played an NBA game yet. But if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click on one of the two.
video, man. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, roll to 200 subscribers, and we out. Peace.